was listening to 1738, a resume, and the first 6 minutes I thought I must mention. Last few days I've been fascinated by an American lady who is absolutely brilliant as regards analysing certain wars and history and empires and different types of empires, in particular continental and ocean-based ones, different between them and so on. And she was extremely able when it came to expounding upon, especially American policy, of course, foreign policy and war strategies and so on. I was fascinated for two reasons. One, her competence, and two, it deals with, it gives you a sort of handle on these world topics that are major in affecting the lives of vast groups of people. But there's the obvious. Was it something that was good and lovely? Think on these things. Well, subject is empire, oppression, war, land grabbing and so on. I mean, they're real problems of the modern world, but they're not particularly problems that I can be instrumental in affecting. And if I were, I'd become a target by those who don't agree with me. This is to be expected, isn't it? So the next obvious thing is, well, God didn't come into it. God wasn't mentioned from 1 hour to the next. It was a very long video I was following. So how's that for a classic case of unhinging myself? And I've been interested and drawn back to this for the last few days. It's addiction, a temporary addiction, I trust, and of course, analysing it like this, I'm likely to kick it, all the more likely, aren't I, to terminate it. But I mean, there were a good side to it, and I admire the lady for her ability. But if I think about it from my values point of view, my loving God point of view, God being my heavenly dad, what are you doing, Marshall? Why are you occupied there? Is it bringing you nearer to heaven, to life eternal? Is it, quite simply, is it making you a more lovely person? I don't think so. It makes me, in worldly terms, a more able person, and no doubt make me even more vocal at the next discussion I have on such topics. I will bring to mind what I've now gathered and put together, and this is my view of, and so forth. Not wise to get caught in such things, and you need to be on your guard. This sort of litmus test, What was it? A litmus test discerned between an acid and a base, didn't it? I think red was acid and blue was a base, alkaline. Well, the litmus test is, are they even thinking in terms of a God, leave alone your God? And don't leave that alone, because your God is what's of interest to you, not their God. I mean, their God's of interest in that, oh, that's interesting. I see how you think and why you think, but not from the point of view of wanting to take on board what you consider as not in accordance with your values. You're on guard. So you're both looking for God in the situation always, and being clear what your God is in the situation always. And that is our priority. And secondly, just as a simple rule that even the most secular really should follow, even from their value point of view, and that is, am I able to influence this topic we're resting upon, thinking and analysing, to become very good at understanding what the right answers are for this particular situation and difficulty in the world? It's not actually blessing you if you can't be instrumental in bringing about the good that you might value. So the second point is quite simply, is this relevant to me? Or is it like so much of the news? Yes, it's happening in Parliament and in the world, but there's nothing I can do about it. The only helpful thing is, in what way will it affect me, and what can I do in response? Which is not the same as saying, what's my analysis and how it should be different, and everything that's wrong with every other view, and so forth. Well, once you're seeking God, your God, of course, the first point is the most important to you. Be very cautious of any situation which doesn't include God in your awareness. And in that regard, even sleep, I'd be slightly cautious of. And I think Paramahansa wasn't clear. He slept at night, or at least it got lower and lower. You could say, oh, it's easy for you, Marshall, you're 104, you're 77, and you're not sleeping as much as you used to. And that's true. I used to sleep a solid 8 hours, sleep through thunderstorms and anything else. I still haven't really experienced an earthquake while sleeping. Hasn't woken me up in New Zealand. Not that we get much in the way of earthquakes in the way of where I'm living, Hamilton, New Zealand. But there have been a few tremors, not that far away, and I don't know, whatever it was, 20 miles away and 5 miles deep or something, I mean, yeah, I could say, oh, that's a tremor, but not much more than a heavy vehicle passing on a house that's particularly sensitive to such, which I used to live in, I was brought up in. I mean, in that sense, earthquakes with passing heavy traffic was perfectly normal. Even the trains would cause things to vibrate in the house, and they were a good bit further away than the road anyway. I was so used to hearing trains at night, and so I wouldn't wake Marshall. But when I emerge from sleep in the morning, what's my priority? Not so much the consciousness of the room and so on, as, isn't it lovely to be in this room? Thank you, Lord. Thank you, God. What have I just been dreaming, God? Were you telling me anything in that, or was it a dream that's just chaos to me? In other words, as soon as I can, I take back the consciousness of God relevant to my situation that I find myself in on waking, which is, of course, returning to this, what we call the normal world of reality. And, a quick sorting through what I'm thankful for would be a good idea to start the day. Put me in the right frame of mind and emotion. Thank you for your night's rest, Lord, and the comfort here and the warmth of the bed and being awake and reality as it presents again that I've returned to. and this house and health and awareness, and especially thoughts of you, Father. Do you see? These thoughts, this practice, is building on relationship and hope and joy and peace and creativity, well-being. You see, you're bringing health spiritually and physically by steering the mind onto that which you have found to be your blessing. Now, it might not be that. You may be extremely secular, very hooked on, say, for argument's sake, playing tennis, and tennis is everything to you, and so you immediately are drawn to thinking about how the day is going to improve your tennis or practice and so forth. Okay, if that's what your God is, do that with all heart, soul, mind and strength. See what happens. Well, of course you say, no, I don't want to. I also quite like going on holiday, and now and again I like playing pool as well. Well, okay, yeah. And how are you getting on after 6 months doing this? Oh, so it's okay. It's up and down. I mean, sometimes I win a game, sometimes I don't, yeah. After 3 years, I wish I had so-and-so. I really value such and such. I want a family. Why can't I find a wife or a husband or whatever it is you're looking for? Good friend. You see, you need to know thyself. And living helps you know yourself. It helps you practice what you think is going to bring you happiness and joy and pleasure. And whatever else you think you value at present. And the experience of such teaches you how much you do value this. Or not, or not now perhaps so much, and that you need something else. In other words, this is your reflection on living, whereas some people seem to lose this awareness of being so alive. They're dead. They're not reflecting at all, and they couldn't remember what happened today, leave alone yesterday, and what I had the same time last Tuesday is, I've no idea. Well, yes, I suppose I was at this meeting. Was he there or not? I can't remember whether he was. She may have been. Yeah, I'll say, yeah, I think she probably was. You haven't reflected on how is this living suiting you and your values and who you are. Is it blessing you as you see it, not as, the priest sees it or the teacher or your mum sees it or your neighbour sees it or your work colleague, but as you see it, is it bringing you the fullness of life that you want? Do you know what you want? Have you become aware of what seems to be driving you and what you do want? And are you following this earnestly to find out if it's true or something better is to be sought and purposed? The opposite of this is just to live in a boring stupor of doing what I've always done, and will I always do it? And I don't think I'm risking anything else. And I don't feel the drive to seek anything else. Am I bored? Yeah, I suppose so. And then, of course, you get to something like, the 40s, age of 40 or 50, and you think, life's gone. Have I done what I should have done with it? And then there might be this sort of wild fling where you're desperate to put things right. I didn't have that, thank goodness, but by the grace of God, change inevitably, it seems, happened to me, or, God steered me on to the next step. And of course I was much aware and reflective, both from my training of being an academic and my difficult upbringing home, and the love of Mum and her analytic, bright, alive ability and love, of course. And so I was encouraged to be reflective rather more than perhaps other people. But you need it, in the sense of, what a shame to miss this opportunity of life. And it's a greater shame than you think. For I, as a secular person, had no idea what blessings could follow from not being secular. And I don't mean being religious, because much of religion doesn't bring a great deal of blessing at all. There's some, some. Just as being secular brings some blessings that you don't get through being religious. There's a much greater freedom possible anyway if you're secular. Not necessarily found, but... Well, all this is very well, but what you really enjoy, what I really enjoy, and I feel sure if it happened to you, you will be just as invigorated by such, is the awareness of God in your life. When you start to see your life as a series of amazing provision and miracles and goodness, your joy goes through the roof. You become fully alive, fully willing to engage and be creative and active and a blessing wherever you are. Joy, joy unspeakable, full of glory. I mean, if I just review yesterday, I sat on my own at a meeting, and people are pleasant. They know me. I'm known. I'm recognised. I'm allowed in the situation, if you know what I mean. And then there was a social time afterwards. I was just getting some food from the table, and I saw a lady sitting on her own. Of course, that's a lady I do know. So I sat and talked to her, and she was just a great blessing. I mean, a lovely person. I mean, nice-looking person too, as a woman, and interested in what I do, namely these recordings. To the extent that at some point she says, and what are you recording at the minute? And so I went into something of the contents of this, beginning of this recording. And I just realised I'd spent a lovely time socialising, talking with this lady. Just a blessing, you see. I mean, may never talk to her again, but possibly will, since she's a parent at the school. And then at some point something difficult happened in a shop. A tiny thing, actually. I dropped some, when I was shoveling out some walnuts, I dropped one or two on the floor. So I picked them up. Well, I wasn't going to throw them back in the bin, having been on the floor. But I don't mind things that are on the floor, so I just put them in my mouth. Well, when I got to the cash desk, the lady, a young girl, always been extremely good, very, very correct in talking to customers and so on. She was quieter than usual, and I inquired, "You are quiet today, are you okay?" "Yes." "Oh, I just don't want to talk about it." "Oh, right, okay, love." I just thought, well, whatever it is, I'm obviously not the person to bless her. And at some point, I just before I left, and she had gone back into the back of the shop with the other lady that I know very well indeed. I said, I don't seem to have the discount for being elderly. You get a 5% discount. And, well, my goodness, suddenly things erupted. It was because I'd been stealing nuts, and I got no right to discount and so on, I was absolutely speechless, And I think I realised, I think she means
the ones I picked up off the floor, but she probably didn't see me pick them off the floor. She probably thought I took them out of the bin or something, and the whole thing. And I was really staggered by this. But in fact, the whole thing turned out extremely well, because the other lady in the shop knows me well. And gave me the discount and apologised and explained that the young lady was particularly sensitive to stealing and protecting the boss, who had been, as she described, him as a mentor to her, and I can imagine that, because they are very, very religious and earnest people. And I can imagine why she was so strong too, because in a perhaps young and not too competent way, was protecting what she thought was right and doing what she thought was right. And then, when I got home in the evening, the boss phoned up, who I know extremely well, and he said, I'm so sorry, it's because of so-and-so. And everything was fine. And you realise, thank you, Lord, Heavenly Dad. You blessed the situation. I was suddenly out of my depth by complete surprise. But you were there. I got the best people round me as well. Incidentally, in passing, it's very important to keep good company, so that when you do run into difficulties, they're there for you. You're not in an environment where people are going to capitalise on your difficulties, but on the contrary, come to your rescue. Isn't that just lovely? Thank you, Heavenly Dad. So I can see, looking at yesterday, and it is good to review all the goodness of God in your life. You'll be quickened in the present. You'll feel life's current with the presence of God, of course, blessing you. So count your blessings, register them. They used to, as I say, build an Ebeneezrr, something to remind, put it in your diary. In my case, I both put it in the diary and I talk to you about it. And just in reviewing that, I'm quickened again. I'm aware of the love of God. And really, what could possibly be better than to live, ideally continually, fully aware of the love of God and his care for you, his provision for you and those you love and value. This amazing creation, this astonishing experience of living. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. And so we do thank God, we thank Dad with all our heart. And that in itself is an incredible blessing. And you will find not only reveals miracles, but leads on to more and more miracles. You're changed from glory into glory. You're in the kingdom of heaven now. You're experiencing life eternal. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.